Hi Zita, welcome to IE.
Thanks, Rhys. Happy to be here.
Well, glad to have you. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. So I know you're a Wharton MBA grad.
I am.
So it was always a career in business, was always the focus from the beginning?
Technology and business, I think, has definitely been a part of my upbringing. My mother, really, she started her own business, and I think I've always imagined myself actually having that same entrepreneurial spirit, and I still think that that's somewhere in my future that I might have a company. But in the meantime, no, business and technology has always been super interesting to me. I'm very passionate about it. I think I'm pretty fortunate that I really like it and that I want to continue doing it and developing my career in this space.
So I wanted to actually ask you a little bit about that. Girls in Tech. It's an organisation we actively support here, international organisation.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of Wharton, looking at career choices, in your year, were a lot of the female grads drawn towards the tech industry?
No, I'd say Wharton probably particular my school, right? It's kind of an older school, established school.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people tend to go into consulting and finance. 80% of our class goes into it, so tech is actually a little bit more non-traditional. But I do think that there are a lot of women in business that are looking to get into technology. I think we're in a very unique time where technology is just on the rise. It basically it's essential, right, for companies to be able to succeed in whatever industry you're in. If you're not thinking about technology and incorporating that into your product, your service, and making you faster, I think you are going to have a tough time succeeding.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's starting to attract more and more people, and women included in that.
So you're a graduate of the world famous Wharton School of Business.
Yes, I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was curious to know, you graduated in, if you don't mind me asking?
In 2014.
In 24. Wow. So it's been a stellar rise for you, career-wise. 2014, the tech industry is fairly mature. I was curious to know, inside Wharton, was there a real culture of entrepreneurialism? Was there a focus and ambition for a lot of students to kind of enter the tech industry and potentially enter their own startups?
Yeah, sure. So I definitely think it's a growing kind of area for Wharton. I think Wharton traditionally was known as a finance school. I think it's broadening into consulting. Definitely still the two biggest concentrations, but tech and entrepreneurialism, or just entrepreneurship, is really growing in Wharton and starting to be a focus. So you're seeing a lot of really stellar companies like Warby Parker in the US, the glasses, direct-to-consumer glasses. You see Cotopaxi, this really cool brand, outdoor brand that's doing, has social endeavors, starting to come from Wharton. And so I focused on entrepreneurship in Wharton and definitely found that there was a very strong community and a lot of resources for me to really dig in and start developing my own business ideas.
So you grew up with entrepreneurial parents in the tech sector.
Yes.
You had an entrepreneurial focus, but you did end up entering, a tech-wise, a big corporate. Tell us about that, your first couple of roles.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, so I went to Wharton. I actually did a dual degree at Wharton, so I studied a Master's of International Studies as well, focused on Latin America and Spanish. So I actually spent my summer in between my first and 2 years in Brazil trying to start a company. So I went and worked for a small startup there, testing my own idea, and actually quickly learned, and it was good to really be there on the ground, that my idea was not going to take off. And that Brazil was not going to be the place where I really wanted to invest, because you really have to be able to invest 5-10 years if you want to go and start a company. I'm sure you know this. So when I came back, I knew, I didn't have the idea to start something, but I came from tech. I have always loved tech, and as I said before, I think tech has to be incorporated into your idea, even if it's not your core product.
Yep.
So for me, it was an easy decision. I knew I wanted to go back into tech, and now I had this kind of blank canvas as to what did I want to do? What did I see as a really growing, exciting area? And the world of payments, mobile payments, to me was really calling to me. So
that was going to be my next question. What after a really great resume that you put on the table, what drew you to Braintree in particular? Yeah,
definitely. So for me, as I said, I was kind of looking at growing areas in tech coming out of school, and I think big data analytics was a space I was super interested in, but also payments. And the more and more I dug into payments, I already, just in terms of absolute numbers and growth numbers, I knew it was just an explosive area. And if you think about it, back then when I was applying for these, like Apple Pay had not been announced, right? Like that wasn't even a concept. And so I knew that Apple was going to do something in this space, and Venmo is a brand, one of our brands in the U.S. that was getting a lot of traction, and I just kind of had this feeling, and again, the numbers help back it up, that this was the right time. You know, going to be a really interesting next couple years in the space, and I thought, I'm going to go and dive in. And as I started to look into that area, so the other piece of it is like this, the payments space has been, I mean, traditionally a very finance-oriented space, right?
When I get asked the question, what is Braintree, I say, oh, it's the cool payments company.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then people go, well, there's what?
Why?
There's a cool payments company?
Yeah,
and then I
yeah.
say, have you got Uber? And they say, sure. And I go, well, you're essentially a Braintree
already using
customer.
it, right? You're already using it, exactly. And I think that's the cool thing.
How do you explain what Braintree is?
Yeah, so I think of Braintree really as a payments OS, a payments platform, beyond just some way for a merchant or a company, an e-commerce company, to be able to accept payments. It's really more about removing payments as an obstacle to cool things you want to do, right? And like it's really there to support the type of commerce you want to do. So whether that's direct to your customers or that's through partnerships and working with others, payments has traditionally been kind of the sticking point, and it's tricky, and it ruins really cool ideas. But I think what Braintree's trying to do is remove that, and we actually were fine with not being a consumer-facing brand. We want to be transparent, right? We really just want to help you sell more, do better in your business, and so I picked Braintree. Kind of going back to your question, was because payments has traditionally just been really finance-oriented, and there's a couple of companies, including Braintree, that are coming in and shaking it up and saying, no, we really need to be a technology and a payments company, right? Like technology is at our core, and so for me it was pretty clear.
So in the tech industry, PayPal is about as established as a brand as you possibly imagine. Braintree, is it still maintaining its startup culture?
It is. I think PayPal, it's been fantastic being part of the PayPal family. PayPal is a fantastic brand globally, and I think they have been really great to Braintree in letting us be autonomous and letting us, recognizing that we have a different product, we have a different culture, and rather than kind of forcing us to fit into PayPal, they've said, hey, in fact, there's probably things about Braintree and Braintree's culture that we could maybe benefit from and we could adopt, right? And so it's been very nice to have that autonomy and kind of be able to maintain our startup culture, which if you ever come to a Braintree office in San Francisco or in wherever it may be, you can feel it. You feel it as soon as you walk in the doors.
So speaking of startup culture and innovation, you're working on perhaps one of the most exciting parts of the Braintree business. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure. So Braintree, as I said before, right, we are a payments platform. We help companies like Uber or Airbnb be able to accept payments directly from their customers. But what we are seeing is really a shift in the way that consumers are discovering products, brands, services. And it becomes more and more important to go and reach your customers where they're first interacting with you, right?
And this is what you guys call contextual commerce.
We call contextual commerce, exactly. And so it's a different set of tools that are required to create that from a payments perspective, to allow kind of those purchases to happen in other third-party channels. You need a new set of tools, and so that's really the set of tools that I'm responsible for, and that I'm trying to go and broaden our reach. And why I'm here in Australia is talking about these tools, talking about these concepts with merchants, with partners here, and starting to plant those seeds.